as time passes. The faded memories grow more vivid, their weight ever deepening.
Beneath the banner, hung between the low buildings, people laugh and chatter, enjoying the festival. Some run through the streets arm in arm, while others embrace and kiss each other's necks. The small square at the heart of the village was already abuzz with festivities. Some clinked glasses of red wine, laughing merrily, while others competed in an onion and garlic eating contest, filling the air with lively chatter. Elsewhere, the melodious voices of merchants selling talismans and scarves rang out. In the center of the square, a man stood alone, sipping wine, seemingly out of place. He wore a white scarf, but was otherwise unremarkable. As he gazed at the scarf vendor, tilting his wine glass, he appeared disinterested in making a purchase.
Pardon me.
The man in the white scarf turned his head towards the voice, causing one end of his scarf to slip from his neck. He looked upon a man in his mid-30s, holding a half-filled wine glass. He wore a red scarf that seemed newly purchased, its threads gleaming and taut.
I thought you looked lonely and could use some company.
The one in the white scarf nodded half-heartedly, turning his gaze back towards the scarf vendor.
Were you thinking of buying a new scarf?
At the red-scarfed man's words, the one in white shook his head without turning. The man in red likely thought him a bit cold and aloof. Yet, he persisted, speaking once more.
Do you know why scarves came to be? The origin of scarves, that is.
The white-scarfed man remained unresponsive, taking the lack of a reply as a negative response. The man in red began a short but intriguing tale.
This scarf is a symbol of sacrifice. On a chilly day like today, it's a must-have when going out, but it's especially indispensable at this Bloody Festival. You know, Bloody Scarlette was a vicious vampire, right? The last surviving female vampire in this world. Bloody Scarlette drank the blood of at least 100 people in Bloody Square. This place must have been hell back then. But you know what? This Scarlette died 30 years ago today, while chasing a young boy. Oh, don't give me that look. This story is true, I tell you. This boy had a truly beautiful sister, and her hair was simply stunning. Her long tresses flowed down to her waist, and whenever the wind blew through her locks, the delicate scent of freshly bloomed bluebells wafted gently. It was as if one were gazing upon Aphrodite, born from the foam. The woman and the boy were on their way home together. It almost seemed like it would be just another ordinary day, right up until they opened the door to their house. When the siblings entered the living room, they were greeted by an unbelievable sight. Their father lay collapsed on the floor. His face, pale blue, was etched with a terrified, contorted expression. Shocked, the siblings rushed into the bedroom. However, another terrifying scene was unfolding in the bedroom. Their mother stood there, but only half of her face was visible, obscured by someone's body. That someone had their face buried in her neck, eagerly gulping something down their throat. That someone turned around at the sound of their presence. With black hair and red liquid dripping from their mouth. It was none other than Bloody Scarlette. Frozen in place by this horrifying sight, the siblings couldn't even close their gaping mouths, unconsciously shedding tears. The sight of their mother, her throat seized by Bloody Scarlette, gasping for air. Even then, their mother waved her hand, signaling them to run. The daughter, shedding tears, came to her senses and scooped up her brother. But Scarlette didn't miss the opportunity, lashing out with her long, sharp nails. A deep, lengthy gash appeared on the boy's neck, red wine seeping through. The vicious wench, catching the scent of a young child's blood, immediately turned her body towards the boy. Just as the vampire was about to lunge, she felt something grab her ankle. The cause of Scarlette's halt was none other than their mother's hand. The woman and her young brother seized the opportunity, escaping through the door and running towards the street. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, silently screaming. She held her terrified brother, pounding on the neighbors' doors, crying for help, but those who realized Bloody Scarlette's presence only locked their doors more tightly. As she ran down the street, crying and wailing, she could hear the bloodthirsty laughter of the vicious vampire, crazed with hunger, chasing her from behind. Those blue eyes craving fresh, young blood. That starving nose tracking the scent of blood. That large mouth savoring the taste of wine. And those razor-sharp fangs. Entering an empty house at the edge of the village, she locked the door and set her brother down. Without a moment to catch her breath, she frantically looked around for a place to hide. In the corner of the house, she spotted a small wine barrel. Inside, the red wine you're holding now filled the bottom. She picked up her brother again and placed him inside the barrel. Though she couldn't hide her own body inside, her brother was small enough that if he crouched down a bit, he would be out of sight. That banging noise at the door snapped her back to reality. She's still after us. Suddenly, she noticed the long gash on her brother's neck and realized, oh no, the scent of blood lingers. She didn't hesitate for long. She grabbed a large pair of scissors from the corner of the empty house. Then she firmly grasped the end of her beautiful, fragrant hair, brought the scissors to her neck, and snipped it off. Just like that. In an instant, she lost the lovely locks of Aphrodite. But that didn't matter. Without faltering, she tied knots at both ends of the hair to prevent it from unraveling. Though no longer attached to her body, the hair still emitted a rich, sweet scent, just as it did when it was on her. She wrapped her cut hair around her brother's neck. That hair scarf became the perfect armor, concealing the scent of his blood. She gazed down at her brother one last time, reassuring him, no matter what you hear, don't come out. Sleep tight. She soon placed the lid on the barrel the boy had entered and glared at the door again. In an instant, her eyes changed as if she had made a decision, and she immediately put it into action. She flung the door wide open and threw herself before the teeth of the vicious demon. The boy thought he wouldn't be able to sleep in that small wine barrel, but intoxicated by the warmth of his sister's hair, he quickly drifted off. They say the surviving boy always wore the scarf his sister made from her own hair. We wear scarves to honor that tragic family and her devoted love for her brother. So, what do you think? Quite fascinating, isn't it?
The red-scarfed man finished his story and gulped down the remaining wine as if his throat was parched. The white-scarfed man's glass seemed to have been empty for quite some time, though the white-scarfed man showed little reaction to the story's end. The red-scarfed man seemed content with the small response. Suddenly, noticing the white-scarfed man's worn scarf, he spoke again.
A white scarf doesn't suit this cold winter, and it looks a bit worn with those dark stains. Why not get a new one while you're here?
The white scarfed man slowly turned his head to look at the red scarfed man. As their eyes met, the red scarfed man noticed tears welling up in the other's eyes. It was clear he was trying to hide them by forcibly squinting. Finally, the white scarfed man spoke for the first time.
To others, today may be the 30th anniversary of peace since the last vampire's death. But for me, it's the day my sister died 30 years ago. This scarf is my lifesaver, and the only memento left by my sister.
The white scarfed man stood up, wrapping the slicked end of his scarf back around his neck. For a brief moment, a long scar on his neck was visible. Then, leaving behind his empty wine glass and a lonely silhouette, he vanished.